All right, at this time, we're going to call to order the Council of San Benito County Governments for the meeting of March 20th, 2025. Mayor Stevens, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Director Kosmicki,
Here.
Vice Chair Stevens,
Here.
Chair Velasquez.
Here.
Thank you.
I note we have Mr. Resendez absent and Ms. Lopez absent.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move to verification of certificate posting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We are now going to move to public comment. I want to, for the record, if we can have a correspondence from Mr. Joe Thompson. Do we have any speakers?
Yes, we have one speaker on Zoom, Kathy Postigo. You can please unmute yourself.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, Chair, Directors. I'm going to talk about the MOVE project again. I know I'm beating a dead horse, but when the project started, it was with a construction cost of $185,000, architect $8,500, IT upgrade $10,000, electrical of $8,500, for a total of $222,500. With these estimates, I'm not sure if they came from Police Construction Service, which COG paid at $25,000 for his services. Construction itself was $554,000, and change orders, there were 8 change orders, but I was only able to get change order 1, 2, 5, 8. They totaled $9,943. I requested all change orders, but I did not receive change order 3, 4, 6, and 7. I was told that the change orders are not numbered sequentially, and that they're only a total of 4 change orders. I find that strange. I did receive an invoice for S-Tech Consulting for pre-renovation of asbestos and lead paint sampling for a total of $3,800. If everything added up, the construction contract, the change orders, police, the asbestos and lead paint, the architect at $8,500, the IT for $10,000, electrical for $8,500, and new furniture for $11,000. That totals $621,000. Of course, that is if those estimates are right. I think it's a total bad use of government funds, and I also believe that these costs are very high, and the place there is terrible. I went over to Hollister Downtown Association. They had Food Truck Tuesday on there. I had to park a block away, and so there's not going to be any parking for employees. There's no handicap parking. I don't know who thought up this plan, but at this point, if it's going to be like $700,000 when it's all said and done, which I'd like to see all the total cost of all this move. They could have bought a building at this point. You know, I mean, this is ridiculous amount of money to put into something that is not ours, that we're doing. You know, I'm just repeating this, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, but that's my story.
Thank you.
Yep.
I don't have any other speaker cards.
Do we have any public
Or
members?
on Zoom. No.
All right. We're going to move on then to the consent agenda. Executive Director, did you have an item you wanted pulled from the consent agenda?
Not on the COG.
Okay, thank you. Is there any speaker cards on the consent agenda?
No speaker card.
Are there any questions from members?
No
Is
questions.
there a motion? Move to approve. Motion approved. Is there a second? Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We're going to now move to item 8. Caltrans, you can report on this?
Kelly, can you hear us? Oh, if you can unmute yourself, Kelly.
Oh, good afternoon, directors. I'm going to pass it over to Terry Thompson. Terry Thompson is going to present on this item. So let me check to see if Terry is connected with audio and visual.
Yes, I am connected, but do you have my slide sets up and available?
CMAP, if you can please put the slides up. There you go. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So a previous board asked Caltrans to investigate State Route 156 to US 101, the southbound on-ramp. We were asked to investigate the possibility of putting in a ramp meter at the location where this orange line is marked on the image. So the traffic flow would be coming from 156 onto the main line. So just so everyone is aware, the goal of a ramp meter is to back up traffic on the arterial in order to smooth the traffic on the main line. So if a ramp meter was placed at this location, it would help the traffic flow around down 101, but it would not help the traffic flow on 156. It would actually back it up a bit. So can we go to the next slide, please? So in the current conditions, traffic merges onto 156 before the bridge is a source of congestion. And the on-ramp merging from SR 156 to US 101 is also a source of congestion. So if you can see, if you're starting from the right-hand side of your page and you're moving in towards the red line, you'll see where there is traffic coming on from 156 onto the 101 route. So that is one source of traffic, but would like you to notice that it's one lane. There is one lane of traffic that goes all the way around to the other end of the image where there is a yellow highlight. So next slide, please. So this is that section where that yellow line was indicated. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that the main bottleneck for this arterial or of this on-ramp is traffic merging from 2 lanes to 1 lane to come across this overpass and then enter onto Highway 101. So next slide, please. Oh, wait, can you go back one more thing? One thing I wanted to point out is, if you notice, this is where that clump of trees is. This is a bridge, actually 2 bridges, which are 1 lane in each direction. So the only way we're going to be able to alleviate the traffic from 156 going to the on-ramp would be to expand these 2 bridges at 156 and crossing 101. So I just wanted to make sure you guys saw that. So we addressed 2 options for eliminating congestion, and both of those were all on-ramp options. So we're seeking SBCOG's input on the prior project priorities and funding. So SBCOG can initiate this project and Caltrans can support it with 1.25 million of minor funding. And both of these estimates that I'm getting ready to show you do not include the cost for the ramp metering itself or the maintenance vehicle pullout. Only thing these costs will do would be to help increase the road width and give you a longer gore, so the traffic coming from 156 onto 101 would be able to have the cars coming on to 101 will have more time to merge into that traffic. So next slide, please. So the option one, which is to reconfigure the ramp meter for a future one-lane ramp meter. So as I said, this cost estimate does not include the cost of the ramp meter and all of the different items that goes with the ramp meter. It would require approximately 2.55 million of partner funding, and that would be SBCOG that I'm speaking of. And it would add approximately 600 foot of merging taper. So you are going to where the purple line is here. The other option is, that would be the green line, because you're adding approximately 1,400 foot of acceleration lane. So that would be the green line. I apologize for that. The other is 1.25 million, and that is approximately 500 feet of merge taper on to this lane here. So the next slide, hold on one second, please. So the next slide, please. My phone was,
Sorry, that's the
Okay.
only slide.
so that was the last slide. So let's go back to the beginning. One more slide, please. So as I mentioned, I wanted to leave it on this image. As I mentioned, a ramp meter at this location will not serve your purpose of decreasing the traffic flow around 156. So either of those two options, there are options, but that will primarily help smooth the traffic on 101, not decrease the traffic on 156. The options available for decreasing the traffic on 156 would be to change those two overcrossings from one lane in each direction to 2 lane in each direction. I did not do a cost analysis on that, but based on the route 25 101 on ramp, their capital cost on that project is approximately 55 million. So I would think in this day and moving forward, it would cost at the minimum $55 million to repair both of these on-ramps. And do you have any questions?
Okay, is there any questions from the members?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, sir.
why do we have to pay for a state highway issue? This is a regional corridor. Why would our county pay for a state problem?
Ms. Thompson?
This is Terry. If you're presenting this question to me, the best way I have of answering it is there are regional transportation plans. There are other plans that are set forth and in the planning process. And actually, we're not asking you to. This was a request that you guys brought to us.
I understand.
And
Yeah, I
asked us
understand.
to investigate.
Okay, I
And-
understand that, but it's a it's a problem that the state should have brought up also. It's not as if this is just something we're pulling out of our hat. This is, and this is a prior COG board, but I happen to agree that this area is a particular problem. But it's not as if this is a county or San Benito County issue. This is a regional corridor, and the traffic, particularly on the weekends, and I think they're just going to go ahead and guess this is like a Saturday midday issue for the most part, because I've experienced it like everybody else, is not a San Benito County issue. This is a state highway, and it's a state problem. So I'm just wondering how we can shift responsibility potentially to the state to solve this problem, because I think the COG just brought it up. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily something that the local jurisdiction should be funding. So how can we get to a point where we can potentially explore finding a solution and having the state take responsibility for the state's problem?
I might redirect this to Kelly because as I understand the process, there are regional transportation plans, there's groups and teams that put together priorities on the projects as to which projects have more priority based on need, safety, and additional criterias. And this project, I believe there is visibility to this. This has been mentioned, but it still has to fit within those parameters of all of the other jobs within the county that need to be funded.
But yeah, I get that, Terry. I know there's formulas and policies in place, but this is really, I mean, as a layperson, I believe this is basically people are on the weekend are going to the coast, and they're driving to the coast from, I don't know, somewhere north, and they're coming down, and the traffic on 101 is getting backed up, and therefore the traffic on 156 is getting backed up. So I'm just confused why we as a county would be responsible for looking at and funding. I understand getting our recommendations, but as far as county funding, it just, something feels off as far as COG funding goes. And the other question I had was, one of the issues with there is that there's that merge lane with the arrows, and people use that lane on the right-hand lane. They use it as a way to basically circumvent the line. And this is one of those classic cases where there are some people that recognize it's a line, and they get in the line and they wait their turn. And then there are others that use the right lane as a way to basically skip the line, and then to get in, get farther up, get in the line so that they don't have to wait as long. And then you have some people that are actually trying to go northbound on 101, and they have to wait for this line because there are people using the right-hand lane to basically clog the whole system and skip the line. So is there anything that can be done about that whole setup with the right-hand lane? Could the right-hand lane, would it cause more congestion, I guess, or less congestion to take that right lane and make it maybe like more of a right turn only lane? And I don't have the answer here. I'm honestly just asking the question to make it more of a right turn only lane so that people I guess they're going to cheat anyway. They're just going to get in line and I'm sure they're just going to use it anyway to get up ahead and then scooch over at the last second. But if it was just a right turn only lane, it seems like at the very least it would be more fair to the people that are going north on 101. You don't have to wait for all this backup from the people that are headed to the coast. Was that looked at though? Just what possibilities there were with that lane, the right-hand lane?
With modifying the right-hand lane, no, we did not look at those possibilities of where the split is. We did not look at that because that's basically stopping the traffic or having traffic heading in the opposite direction. We can't control bad behavior. And that's some of the bad behavior that we were seeing coming from when we were doing the 156 project at 4th Street. That's one thing we can't control.
But they're actually following the rules. They're just kind of ignoring the fact that there's a line there and they're getting in the merge lane, which there's nothing against the rules. They're following the rules. So if you just eliminated that merge possibility, I would imagine you would alleviate some of the backup because people would be able to use, assuming most people follow the law, people would be able to use that right lane to go north, and there wouldn't be all that clog there. The people that were going north can just get on their way and go north, and there would seem to be less congestion. The other part of this is I'm not so sure. I'd have to really get more feedback from the community, but investing local dollars to a lot of local dollars to essentially ease the backup on 101 and do nothing about the backup on 156. I'm not so sure I understand that. That was it. Thank you.
Chair, permission
Go
to
ahead.
speak?
Sure.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Terry, I believe. I can concur with Director Kosmicki. I travel that exchange Monday through Friday as I live in San Juan Bautista and work in Gilroy. So some days I'm on there at 6:30 because I have a 7 a.m. start in clinic. Sometimes I'm there at 9:30 because I have a 10 a.m. start, And he's correct that split there, if you're trying to go north on 101, you're kind of forced to almost go on the shoulder because people are clogging up that lane. I mean, there's heavy commuter traffic during the week as well, but especially during the weekend. I avoid going to Gilroy, avoid going to Monterey County because of that. But there is an issue there, and it's not that you can't control the behavior, but if you can deter that behavior by doing some sort of signage or some sort of notification that that's not a waiting lane to go south. I mean, it's a turnout lane to go north, and I believe that something can be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Thompson, real quick, I remember, I think it was 21 or 22 that Caltrans actually brought this problem up, and they said they were going to be covering the cost for this issue. So I don't know if we can go back and look at the minutes and try to find that, but I do remember a conversation about it before it became more of a issue here. But what I'm hearing from the other directors is maybe some of the answer to this is, as Director Kosmicki said, a right turn lane before the overpass, so those that are traveling north can keep moving through. And I think it's maybe a easier solution for now to get the traffic flowing, because I think we're backing up both north and southbound traffic.
Chair, I just am not sure that Director Kosmicki's question was answered, because I have a big question mark in my head. I'm obviously the newest member of this body, and I'm still learning a lot about the funding structures and all the other technical side of COG, but I don't know that his question got answered. Why? So, I mean, it seems to me, maybe this is sounding like super, basic, but is it because COG brought it up? If Caltrans had just brought it up on their own and they just did it, they would pay for it, but somebody in COG happened to bring it up, so then there's I'm not sure. Anyway, that is just my really naive question. I just didn't hear an answer to Director Kosmicki's questions, and I really think it's an important one. We need to, it's a problem that needs to get resolved, but who's going to pay for it, and why is it coming from county dollars, COG dollars? Anyway, can you please answer it though?
I can try to take a stab at that, Terry. Hi, everyone. Kelly McClendon again. I'm a senior planner with Caltrans District 5. I'll take a stab at sharing a little bit about kind of a brief overview of transportation funding in California. Most of the funding that Caltrans has is really your fix-it-first maintenance and preservation programs that we have, that we go out there and we do pavement and bridge replacement and rehabilitation, drainage, signals, and those types of things. That's really for the funding that Caltrans controls. It's those programs. For funding highway betterments or improvements that are beyond just the maintenance and preservation, the way that funding is split in the state, 75% of the funding in that pot actually goes directly to the regions, and it does not go to Caltrans. 25% of that goes to Caltrans for interregional improvements. And of that 25%, every project idea, every improvement has to basically compete statewide, and it's a competitive process. And so it's not necessarily even the district's choice of whether we can or cannot fund that any given project. Actually, that needs to go into a competitive process that includes rail projects and active transportation projects throughout the whole entire state for 25% of that overall funding. So it's a little bit of, it goes back to the way that we split transportation funding, which goes back to a bill that I think it was the late 1990s when that kind of split up how we fund projects. So that's really the elevator pitch answer of why for this project idea, why this would be something that COG or another local entity would fund, because Caltrans doesn't have a funding source or a mechanism to fund a project like this. Going back to when this first came up, Caltrans did attempt to fully fund it with that minor program, which is where you see that $1.25 million, which is the cap of our minor program. At the time, we thought that the cost of the project would be either that or under that. And so we had actually attempted to fully fund that. A few years later, as any project, we know that costs have gone up. We've looked into, we've studied it more and now have a better cost estimate. And so what our 1.2 cap can fund is still something that we're willing to support and contribute to the project. But over that, it's not possible for us to fund that project because it goes over that. So hopefully that helps a little bit with the funding overview.
If I can ask, and thank you for that. Sometimes I feel like maybe I'm losing my mind, forgetting things or remembering things, and my wife has a lot of jokes about this, but knowing that, and we heard the discussion of those backing up traffic trying to merge in, have you looked at the possibility of maybe widening the shoulder heading south on 156 so those that are heading north on 101 can still continue through? And maybe that can be a temp fix for right now and still fit into your program. Have you looked at that? Anyone is free to answer.
That is not something that we have looked at this time. It is something I can take back to the traffic group and have them take a look at the possibilities. I know they recently did a traffic analysis on that corridor, so it shouldn't take too many hours for them to analyze that one part of that intersection. Of that entryway onto the freeway, to see if there's something that can be done there.
Thank you. All right, any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would just to bring this together, I would really focus on, because it doesn't seem like, we have limited dollars, and we have other highway improvements that we are going to need to put those dollars toward eventually. And I don't know if we're really getting our bang for the buck if we're easing traffic on 101 a little bit, but we're backing up, but we're not addressing the issue on 156. To address the issue on 156 at the very least, focusing on that right-hand lane and solutions in the right-hand lane. I've literally had people who they assume that you're using that lane to cheat around traffic, like bigger trucks, and they will pull out and block you and say, no, you are not going to go ahead of me. Even though I'm trying to go north, I'm like, hey, I'm not even part of this whole cheating scam. I'm just trying to go north here, folks, and they will not even let you go, which just further clogs the whole system there. So I think focusing on that lane for now would be smarter and more cost efficient. Thank you.
Thank you. As there's no other questions from the directors, we'll move on now to item 9. Oh, we do have a comment.
Is that mine also?
I thought we asked that earlier. Go ahead. We have a public comment. Come on up. we're gonna still talk about this first part. Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Hang on for a second.
Of course. Hi, everybody. Ray Cancino, Community Bridges CEO. Having also been one of those drivers that knows the rules and trying to be considerate of one another, I think there are a lot of other cost-effective ways of doing it, including requesting changes to the markings of the two lanes. So making it a yellow lane only, about 1,000 feet from the turnoff. So then the rules do change on the road, which means if you're crossing a double yellow line, you're therefore violating a rule, and a CHP can also violate it. With $1.25 million, you're not going to get that side improvement of getting an extra lane, essentially. It's not wide enough. The way they built it out, you're not going to fit 3 lanes, essentially, significant enough to be able to turn off. But you could do other things like provide mirrored lighting. Similarly, when you're blocking, let's say, bike pedestrian traffic, to kind of signal and to ensure that no one is crossing over. You are going to get those basically rolled over and turned over from people doing exactly cutting over. But doing that behavior change is going to take a lot of time, but it's going to be more cost effective right now to do some things that are really changing the behavior of how people use that road. Further down the line, other things, I know roundabouts are probably not the thing to talk about since you guys have gone through so many on that corridor, is an effective way of doing it also by creating basically 2 lanes that require you to basically turn off and also do the very similar same thing of a bolded double yellow line where you can't cross over, and forces those people that are going to stay in the right lane to go north, and it's going to make it really difficult for them to head south on 101. So those are just my additional recommendations of things to look at for Caltrans, and to have them estimate what is possible and doable within your budget.
You.
Joe Tanasha.
Joe Tanasha. I'm glad you guys are looking at this. I was shocked when you guys started talking about this. That's why I wanted to comment. I have trucks going to Salinas every day. And in the summer, I've got quite a few trucks going to Salinas every day. And that thing there costs us a lot of money because in contract negotiations and everything else, they don't want to pay us the same. They don't want to come to Hollister because they can't get back to Salinas. In the day, I could get a semi over there in 40 minutes. Now it might be 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And I've been in a high-speed catch-up on Caltrans in San Benito County since about November. And I find it interesting. There's an article I came across that VTA is looking at widening 101, possibly with District 5 involved, all the way down to 156 from Gilroy right now. They're starting to look at that.
129.
To 129, thank you, you've seen that. Well, it needs to go further. But at the same time, I find it interesting that this has been going on and ramping up over the years, even before 156 is going to now become 4 lanes. We've had this problem, and it's been ramping up every year, getting worse and worse, like Colin says. But Caltrans goes and builds 156 through the San Juan Valley, which is virtually a trade corridor to the coast. Anybody who doesn't think 156 is a trade corridor like 152, I'm sorry. They may classify it different, but it is.
Trade corridor.
Huge. And you make it so everybody comes off a 2-lane road and a 4-lane road, it's only going to be worse down there now. And why wasn't that kind of stuff in their studies and in their projections when they want to come and build a highway across anywhere else? And it's going to be the same way coming back to Hollister. People think there's not going to be any congestion coming back to Union Road and 4th Street. I got news for you. It's still going to be congested. They're just going to get there quicker, both ways. But I think you made a comment at a meeting one time, how Orange County and what it is today. Caltrans still operates like it did 50 years ago. And you guys don't see all the regional stuff that's going on everywhere else. And somehow, someplace, people has to say, whoa, stop, step back. We need to get this thing smooth all the way through. Maybe you close 2 lanes off through the San Juan Valley, because we're going to get more traffic coming through San Benito County as soon as that road opens up to 4 lanes. That's a fact. You know, they're not going to use Shore Road anymore. They're going to come off of 152 and they're going to come this way. So that should all, Caltrans should be honest and say, yeah, we knew this was going to happen to begin with, rather than trying to put the buck on the back of our county to pay for it. Thank you.
No other speaker cards?
All right. We're going to now move to item 9. I think this is you also, Ms. Thompson.
Thank you for letting me know. Can you please, okay, I see the slide now. There must be a little delay on my part. So I'm coming to you with an update on the 156 improvement project. This is just your normal project overview. I know you guys have probably seen this before, that the project's costing $130.7 million. We anticipate finishing the project in fall of 2025. And next slide, please. So just an update on some of the things that have happened. We shifted to the new 156 onto the new eastbound lanes. We did that on October 24th. The Bixby roundabout is open to traffic. New sections of Union Road intersection was open in October. This work was accelerated just to minimize the inconvenience to the public. We wanted to make sure that we got Union Road open so people would have access to some of those local stores on the in-between or on Union, on the other side of Union Road. We completed the Mitchell Road CRCP, and we opened a week early in December 2nd. Okay, so everything we have been doing on this project, and I really applaud Tyker Construction because they have worked with us to move schedules along, move things back, move things forward so we could continue making progress. And we're actually still on schedule, which is really, really, they should be applauded for that. Next slide, please. So the upcoming items that are coming that will impact the public. Okay, Tykert is currently working on completing drainage and grading as weather permits. So right now, you'll see a lot of work on not the main line of traffic, but on the side roads where they're working on those drainage systems. We've been called once with, I believe it was Commissioner Kosmicki, to look at a site that was having drainage issues. So we're working through all of those details. Now that we have the opportunity that the water is there and we're actually seeing how everything is working, which is great. The next critical activity is to put in the rubberized asphalt paving. And it'll be at East 4th Street and West Alameda ends of the project. So due to temperature requirements, we cannot get RHMA until May. And it's not just Caltrans. They don't even start manufacturing it until approximately late April for May delivery. So we're trying to do as much of the outside work, the grading work, the repair work, weatherizing work that we can get done and waiting for the RHMA to be available. The other things that are coming up is final signage and pavement delineation. So we're going to actually mark out the roads. Then in summer of 2025, we anticipate switching traffic to the final 4-lane configuration. After that, there will still be some median barrier that needs to be provided. So they'll be working in the median, putting in that barrier, and we anticipate to complete all work by fall of 2025. So one thing on here that I didn't mention is, as you see in that image, there is that frontage road. So we are going to start pretty heavy working on the frontage road in May. in late May, and then we are going to work on repairing that and getting it ready for relinquishment and handing it over to the county. So the work on that, as I said, should begin in May. Next slide, please. So this is our normal project communication slides, the different people you can talk to, public contact. As you guys know, you can always contact me. Are there any other questions?
Is there any other questions from directors?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. I know you said there was delineating more signage. I just want to make sure I brought up previously, trying to push for more clarity and signage coming into and within the roundabout at Bixby? Question mark?
I will ask the engineering team to take a look at that. I know that they had made some improvements on the turbo roundabout. The way I will pose the question to them is based on the signage added for the turbo roundabout, is there something we can do proactively for this new roundabout we're putting in at Bixby?
Thank you. And then just real quick, wanted to say, I know there's a lot of Caltrans gets kind of criticized inherently, but just thank you, Caltrans Tykert, for working with the county on the drainage issue that you mentioned. Farmers came to me and pointed out what would be a very serious drainage problem right across from Mission Farms, where we already had huge flooding there. And Caltrans was, Tykert, very proactive there. Appreciate that. It looks like we have a solution to potentially prevent some really serious problems. And then the frontage road, you said May. Is there any way to correlate the work on the frontage road with the opening of the 4 lanes? I know there's probably, it sounds like maybe there might be several weeks of, if not less of, just to try to alleviate congestion as much as possible. Is that the plan, basically, to correlate?
Well, the frontage road, it will not be closed. We're going to do that, and we're going to have signals and normal repair process.
Okay.
So they're not going to close, they're going to do lane closures and signage and flags. So that road will remain open during the repaving
Okay.
and
Thank you.
repair.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Go ahead, Director Lopez.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson, for that report. When I wear my other hat as the City of San Juan Bautista council member, this last Tuesday's meeting, I was approached and asked if I would mention to Caltrans at this meeting to help resolve the confusion of where the lane splits right at the Alameda and 156. It's kind of confusing. There's two lanes. One goes to the left or on the Alameda, and then the other goes right into San Juan Bautista. But it's not a very distinctive right-hand turn lane. It's very confusing. There's cones there. That part of the lane is not opened up, and they were asking if there was some way that Caltrans can maybe open up a portion of that lane so that you can literally get over to the far right and merge and turn into the San Juan, because right now you're kind of sharing that lane with people that are going east onward on 156. And it's kind of a little dangerous if you're not from around here. So I'm just sharing that with you if there's something that you can do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have one question for you, though. Are we speaking of on the Alameda itself, not on 156 is where the issue is?
No, the issue is from 156 on to the Alameda. And it's right before the stoplight. And maybe Director Kosmicki can add to that as he is in our area.
Yeah, I think I'm only assume when I drive that and see that it's a temporary configuration, and that it assumed that it would be resolved when the 2 new lanes open up. Or I'm trying to picture exactly in my head how the frontage road and the 2 lanes, and they all kind of, but right now there's a closure there, and it seems like it's a temporary configuration. And I had asked for that extra lane to be put in when there was that huge backup all the way to Union Road. And they, again, Caltrans, thank you, stepped up. They put in the lane, but I believe it was a temporary configuration, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it makes it really kind of tricky to make that right-hand maneuver, and especially at dusk or at night. So I see it as a safety issue, and so do the individuals that brought it up to me on Tuesday night.
Thank you. Go ahead, Director.
Chair, I just want, is it a temporary, because I agree, I mean, I know exactly where, that is very confusing. It's even confusing during the day, actually, especially if you're not from around here and you don't drive that very often. But is it temporary? Is there supposed to be an update to that? Because if that is the permanent solution, it is very confusing, and I think something does need to be
It is
addressed. I would
temporary.
agree with the public that came to you.
That is temporary. I've seen it, and I say yes. Okay, do we have any speaker cards?
No speaker cards?
All right, we're going to go ahead and move to item 10. 10A.
Good evening again, Kelly McClendon, Senior Planner. I'll present on 10A. Good evening, Chair. Good evening, Directors. I think there's a slide. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'll go through update on our typical Caltrans project report, and then I have a special update on other projects and concepts of note that I can go through. So starting with this one, C1, we just saw the presentation on 156, so I'll skip over that one. D1, the Alameda, there's no updates this month for the right turn lane project, the eastbound right turn lane project. D2, the Highway 25 corridor improvement project. Thanks again for the board of directors for the meeting last week, last Wednesday in Hollister. We had a special board meeting to inform the board about the current project status for the corridor improvement project and the different considerations that went into the proposed alignment and alternatives. The environmental document is in progress, and technical studies and field studies are underway. We've sent our permit to enter to local parcels for the different environmental studies that are going to be coming up soon. B3, the US 101 Rocks Road Wildlife Connectivity Project. Environmental studies are also underway for that project, and we are also in the early stages of design work for that as well. The Hollister Median Barrier Project, we completed the first phase of that project, which is the project initiation document, a few months ago in December of last year. And we're moving straight into the design phase of that project. The ready to list, or the general begin of our construction phase, is still planned for the summer of 2026, with the actual construction activities starting in early calendar year 2027. And that is another note about that project is we're working on a fact sheet. From our understanding, there's interest from the board and the community to learn more about that project. So we should have a fact sheet soon that talks about that project, the purpose and need of that project, where it is, and kind of has a deeper dive into the project characteristics for that one. So look for that coming up soon. The 101 pavement rehabilitation project. This is a new project that I think this is the first month that we've added this into the project update report. We're still in the very early stages of the very first phase of the project, but essentially it's a pavement rehabilitation for 101 in most of the, or I guess it's the entire length of the county limit. That's approximately 30 lane miles of pavement. Pavement is the anchor asset for that project. Additional assets will include upgrading our median barrier and upgrading our guardrail, improving drainage locations, removing existing wildlife barriers or barriers to wildlife connectivity, and also safety enhancements. We're in the early stages of environmental studies and also doing some preliminary design work for this one as well. Part of this project in the southern study area is looking at additional safety enhancements at the Rocks Road intersection. The construction timing for this project is winter of 2030. That concludes 10A, and I will move into 10B, which is not a typical item for a report, but a report on various other projects or items of note.
Can you go back?
No slide for this one.
If you can go back, I'm sorry, I'm looking at, maybe I didn't hear it correctly, but is that, I can't see as I mentioned earlier or hear very well. Is that D2 on what, 156? I see a red line there. What is that one? I think I missed that. Coming across near where the roundabout would be at 25, I see, it looks like a D2, a red line on 156 crossing the roundabout area. Wondering what that is.
Oh yeah, that's also the Highway 25 corridor improvement project. The project footprint in terms of the line work of it includes the interchange or the intersection of 25 and 156. So as far as what we're showing is the line work, even though, really we think about this as the 25 project, but in terms of the limits of what we're studying, it includes that stretch as well.
And one more question for you. You brought up the repair work on 101. 25 is failing pretty quick. I know they're out there doing patching now, but it's going to need the hold in place or something to be done before it gets really bad out there. A big part of that 25 now is getting to the point of failing.
The follow-up, is that 25, is that the limits that we're looking at here on the map, or is there a certain area of 25 that I can note so I can look into that?
I'll tell you, when I'm driving home, I'm basically hugging the shoulder driving home to avoid the potholes, or I'm either shoulder, the median one day, and the next day I'll drive near the shoulder to avoid the other set of potholes. So where the, obviously where the traffic is, the road is starting to collapse, and if you drive it, you'll see it all the way, pretty much all the way through now.
Okay. I will look into, to see if there may be some projects on the books in the long range. Sometimes our project plans go out about 10 years. And so even if we're not actively working on something right now, there might be something that is planned for a future year. So I could look into that and see if I can find anything.
Please do. It's not going to last very long. Go ahead. You're going to do B now?
Okay, yes. All right, moving on to 10B. So I'll break this up project by project and give a brief update on each project that I have. The first one is the 101-25 interchange project. And of course, that's in Santa Clara County. That is a VTA-led project in partnership with Caltrans District 4. But I know that this is of interest, obviously, for the San Benito community. I can give a brief status update of this, but then I'll also mention that the contact with D4 for any details or future information. The first phase of that interchange project is to reconstruct the existing interchange to a slightly north location. And that one is in construction right now. It's entering into the construction phase. So depending on the specific timing, we should start to see actual construction activities if we're not already. The construction timeline is until the fall of 2027. The funding for that, I know funding is of interest, And the total funding for that first phase is, the project is 136 million, with 77 million coming from Santa Clara Measure B, and 59 million coming from a grant from Senate Bill 1, which is from the California Transportation Commission competitive grant program that is using funds from the gas tax. The project manager is Arun Guntula from District 4, and I don't have Arun's contact information on hand, but I can grab that. I can get that and follow up with that. Second project that I have is it's kind of two projects that were organized as two separate projects in previous regional transportation plans, but between both projects, they represent a widening of US 101 from the county line all the way, basically for the full limits of San Benito County. In the regional transportation plan, in previous versions of the regional transportation plan, you'll see that they're organized as two separate projects because there's different segments. One is from the Monterey County line to Highway 156, and then the second one is the northern portion from Highway 156 to Highway 129. Those have been in previous versions of the regional transportation plan, but if you've seen recent drafts of what would be the future regional transportation plan, those are not in those. And going back to a little bit of the conversation that we were talking about with the 156 on-ramp, the reality is that just like the county, just like the COG, Caltrans is also having budget issues. And within the horizon of the RTP, there's no realistic funding path for projects like that moving forward. And certainly I know in County of San Benito, there's more of a focus on 25 and really emphasizing getting that corridor as our focus corridor. So those projects, the widening of US 101 from county line to county line, will not be in future versions of the regional transportation plans. So I'm presenting on them, but there really are no active projects for those things. At least I heard Mr. Tanasha brought up potential VTA efforts for projects like that, and I'm not aware of those. So that'll be something that I'll be looking up, if VTA is potentially sponsoring projects like that will increase capacity for 101 into San Benito, but there's nothing that I'm aware of for now. Moving on to the next project. This one is Highway 156 between 4th Street and San Felipe. This project is also not on the regional transportation plan list. And I looked into where a project or this concept may be come from, and I could not find a project that existed or that was documented in previous plans. So unfortunately, I couldn't find anything about a project on 156 between 4th Street and San Felipe Road. Moving to a subsection of projects that might be of interest that we've recently completed or we've completed within the past couple of years. Starting with most recently, the US 101 Rocks Road tree removal. That project is complete. We needed to remove eucalyptus trees along 101 in the area near Rocks Road, coincidentally. And the reason was because those trees were unhealthy and posed a potential of falling or some of the branches of the trees falling. So we needed to remove some of those trees. Now that we've removed all of the trees, we're beginning with our plant establishment, where instead of those invasive eucalyptus or really non-native eucalyptus trees, we're doing our plant establishment and revegetation efforts in that area with native vegetation. The next project I have is the Hollister Clean California project. that is similarly that's completed, and that is in our plant establishment phase. So it's same idea is that we revegetate the area around the project and then monitor that for a certain either 1 to 3 years and make sure that the plants are in place before we close the project out entirely. The next project is the Highway 25 curve alignment restoration. That's the curve alignment that's just south of the Pinnacles, and that is also in plant establishment. The construction activities are complete, but we're monitoring the plants. Highway 25 and 156 roundabout, that's the safety project, of course, and that roundabout is fully in operation. Nothing further to report there. I'll pause there. I just have one other brief announcement outside of projects, but I'll pause there in case there are any questions.
Any questions from directors?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. Let's see, the Highway 25, I brought up Highway 25. Appreciate the median barriers portion, a small section in San Benito County, but we had talked about exploring the Santa Clara County side, doing some sort of work on studying the potential of putting in safety barriers in a larger segment of Highway 25, especially considering the accidents and the recent fatality that occurred there. Can you update on what movement, if any, there has been on that?
Yeah, absolutely. We recently actually presented at the Mobility Partnership meeting with VTA last week, and I think the gist of that presentation is we're completed with most of the analysis. I think there might still be some pending analysis, but I know that the idea is to look into ways to implement the findings and recommendations from the analysis. Basically, looked at recent data and looking into the collision data, and then figuring out, depending on the locations, what could be possible done to reduce the collision factors. And the next step is to look into the different scope elements that could be initiated as a safety project. I know that barriers is one consideration. It may not be the only consideration, but I don't have that detail. But that would be implemented through District 4. Of course, we'll be coordinating very closely with them. We have been coordinating very closely with them. And I know this is something that it has statewide attention. I know it's something that our Caltrans headquarters has been involved with, our headquarters safety group. I know this is something that we have been working with Speaker Rivas's office and I think that I think the plan is still to do a public-facing event in the near future to kind of explain a little more detail, probably have a presentation about what the analysis findings were and what we're going to do next. So that is still moving. The analysis may not be entirely completed yet, but I think it's near the end.
Thank you. I've said it before, but whatever we can do toward leaning toward getting something done there, we got to get something done. We can't have any more fatalities because we don't have safety mechanisms in place. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple of comments and questions also. If we can go back to the conversation about the 101 from county to county. You mentioned it's not on the plan list yet, but when it does appear, is there funding that is going to be expected from the county of San Benito, or is Caltrans going to fund that complete project?
Actually, that's a good point. I forgot to mention that that the removal or the reason it's not going to show up in the next version of the regional transportation plan is because it's not something that Caltrans has ability to fund. Realistically speaking, it's not that we are not supportive. If there's another entity that is a priority for the COG or the county or any entity. It's something that we are very open to partnering and working together on and continuing our partnership. And so the removal isn't saying that we're going to block that idea from moving forward. It's just saying that with Caltrans funding, it's really not realistic to expect a funding profile for that improvement to even get that started, because to start a project, we really need to have a realistic chance that that project can move forward and be funded, and we just don't have that right now. So I forgot to mention that it's not that we're not willing to work with another entity if that is a priority for another entity. It's more that it's just something that is not going to be funded through an interregional transportation improvement program.
Right, and that's why I wanted to bring that up and be very clear about it, because we heard a conversation about the widening down to 129 from 25, and the reality is it's not going to happen, although it's gone through environmental. I'm glad Mr. Tanasha brought it up today. It's gone through environmental, but VTA does not have funding, and I was told it probably will not happen in my lifetime. And I want to be clear about this other part of 101, that would have to probably be funded, at least a portion, through county here. And we got some big projects we need to take care of already. And I just want to make sure that nobody leaves here saying, oh, they're going to widen 101 from county line all the way to 25. It's just not going to happen. And again, as I said, not in our lifetime. And I would highly doubt it. So I just want to be very, very clear. And it's one of the reasons I asked for these updates on the major road repairs, because in the past, we heard a lot of people, or a group of people, claiming all these projects were happening so that people could buy into this idea that we're not going to have traffic issues here, let's just build more homes. And I want to make sure everyone understands they're not happening anytime soon, or at least at the minimum the next 20 plus years. So just want to be clear about that. All right, any other questions from directors?
Chair Henry. So thank you for that update, and mentioning the special board meeting, which was a workshop to give information about the current project on the widening of 25, and there's a lot of very passionate public comments during that meeting. There was some information that was presented by different entities, and so I just wanted to check in on a couple of things just based on what I remember about that workshop. So first of all, the design of 25, the way it was presented, it sounded, the message that I received, or the way that I received it, was that it was like set in stone. And so I just wanted to check on that. Like, we did talk about considering some change to the design, and then Abinu kind of pointed out that they would be very basic. And so I just wanted to double check on that. And here's the reason why I'm asking this question is, when you see the pictures, it's very different than when you're out there. And I visited the Rekovich family, graciously allowed me and Director Resendez to go out there and look at the property and where the line would be, and where the realignment would be. And it's very eye-opening when you're out there in person and you see what is actually going to happen. And so, as well as some of the things that don't show up in the design, for example, how the existing 25 just ends at one point. It's like a dead end, and it's just really weird that would happen, but that doesn't show up on the design. So anyway, I wanted to just check in on that, because I think that there are a lot of problems with the design, and it worries me to say that, because we already, as chairperson Velasquez just said, I mean, we're looking at, decades before this project is ended. And I'm just really concerned about that. So my question is, so this is like a long-winded lead up to my question, but my question is really like, what types of changes could we anticipate are possible with the design? And especially when it's clear that there's going to be some real problems with the current design. Some of them I think are just very unrealistic, some of the components of the design. So I'm just wondering where is that, and then how do we do that? When you talked about having another public facing event, I'm assuming what that means is that you will have a town hall or another workshop or something like that. So I'm just wondering what that would look like, and then what would be the purpose? Is the purpose simply to tell us something, or is the purpose really to gain input so that we can influence change, especially in the design? So that's my question.
Sure. I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about that. And by the way, the town hall that I mentioned, that was something that is going to be planned for the safety improvement project, which is going to be also on 25, but a different project than the corridor improvement project, basically the expressway conversion project. So it's more the public facing event, and it's sorry that I didn't clarify that, but it'll be for the more short-term safety improvements that might be possible in the shorter term, funded through the safety program and implemented as quick as we can versus the corridor improvement project, the bigger one. So that's what I was referring to as far as what that workshop or the event, whatever the case may be. As far as the longer term project, the corridor improvement project, the way that I think about it is the route adoption alignment is what has gone all the way through all the approval process through CTC and is in the general plans and is established. So the route adoption, which shows a general swath of where the route alignment will be, is established. The project design can vary within that route adoption, and the details of this, the very specific detail of where it is within that route adoption is still something that is not said, and it's something I'll paraphrase, but I feel like I heard our district director say something along the lines of we are willing to make common sense looks at if you look at the details of the design within the existing route adoption, we want to make common sense decisions on some of those specifics. So there are some detailed changes, or there's details that are still to be developed within that existing route adoption. So I hope that helps a little bit, and I don't know if Terry has any other info on that.
Hi, Chair. Can I chime in?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to give a very condensed answer to what Mayor Stephens was talking about. It's a two-part question. The first part of what you asked about the workshop and how this is going to be unfolding going forward, I can address in the next session when I'm reporting out. The second question that you asked about the design, I just want to say that what Caltrans has done so far is a route adoption, which is a very, very elementary or preliminary design. So in that design, they don't go into the level of details that you are looking for. When we do the environmental studies, and then there is a second phase, by the way, this is a technical answer. There is something called plans, specification, and estimates, which is what is the next level of design work would be on this project. That will give you exactly what's the specification, how much is it going to cost, and all of that. We haven't done that, so we do not know. That will come, that is like 2 steps down the lane. But just a very technical answer to what you asked.
Okay, it's not the answer I want to hear,
Maybe.
clearly. And I guess my follow-up question to this is then, I'm not sure what the opinions of the local people is that needed? Oh, and if, I mean, why, if, I don't know, I'm just like concerned that at this stage, that there's just so many things. I think there's so many unanswered questions. One of the unanswered questions, being, and I have it, it's obviously from my perspective, but I've also heard it from other people, that, from a lot of other people, that, nobody's gotten a real clear answer as to why, like why, other than some of the new standards that were put out there, or concerns about the driveway, the entrances, like the different little roads that can enter into 25. But why was this particular route selected? And especially because we think that there could be other solutions to some of the details, like the drives that enter into 25 right now. So I just don't think that we have gotten a good answer as to why. And then I'm just going to ask that, and then I'm just going to leave it there. I mean, if you could answer some of that, or if there's a way to get a more detailed report about the whys, that would be really helpful, because it's very unclear. And also, one word that I've heard over and over and over is, there's like, what's the common sense? It makes more, like, there's more common sense to do this. And if we're doing it this other way, then why? Because that doesn't seem to make sense. So we want to just get to that point where it feels like, okay, now we understand it. But at this stage, like, nobody understands it. Anyway, let's stop talking. Very frustrating.
Do you want to answer that, or I can start?
I can attempt to answer. I know I do not have an answer, but I can tell you that when I'll wait until my report out to give you a little bit more information on this. But we are talking about it with Caltrans, and hopefully we'll be bringing back items pretty soon to clarify all of those questions.
So if I can answer on our side, here's the answer. Our committee, our group is going to decide this. And it is up to us to say, look, this existing plan ain't working for us any longer, and we're not going down that path. It's for us to decide if we want to use the existing alignment, or if we want to use, well, I'll call it I keep calling it alternate 3 north of the airport. It's our committee, all of us now, that are going to decide this. And the focus here in our committee is going to be shifting pretty much to Highway 25 in the next month or two here. And I'll announce some of the items I want to talk about. And I would think in the next 2 to 3 months, our committee, our group will say, here's where we're going. Now, Caltrans has been great partners, and at the end of the day, they're going to go with what we're asking for and find a way to do it. If that aligns with a state highway, it does. If it doesn't, it becomes a county road. But we're going to have to figure that out through this committee, and it is us that's going to decide this.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. I mean, thanks for that clarification. And still, in order to be able to do that, I think we have to have, especially for the public, to be able to answer to the public, the whys. We have to have the whys, like, why would we want to do it this way? And then we have all that information, that we can at least respond to the why this is a better option than this, or why this decision was made over that one. So, I mean, even if we are the ones that are going to make that final decision, or we're going to be passing that information on to Caltrans, and then, moving forward with whatever that means, we still need the whys to be answered. So Bino, when you have that report, I mean, I just really hope that that it's very specific, the whys, the answers to the whys, why this seems to be too unsafe, why this route was chosen over others, why like some parts of the design look the way that they do. I mean, because it feels like there is a lack of transparency for some reason. And when you can answer the why, then there is this sense that even though I don't like it, at least I understand. And right now, it just feels like there is a lack of transparency. And I'm new in this cog role. However, I've been living in this town for a long time, and I've heard a lot of things that I'll tell you that we're on top of what's happening in 25 all the time, because my husband and my son are on that road every single day commuting, and I travel that road a lot too. And so obviously it's number one on our mind. And so the whys just don't seem to be out there. So I just want to make sure that we're super transparent with the public, that we have all the questions answered. So then that we can do, as Director Velasquez said, or Chair Velasquez said, we can make an informed final decision about how to move forward. That's going to just be crucial.
Thank you. Any other questions from directors? Was there anything else that Caltrans wanted to finish up with?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Let's see. One final announcement. District 5 is planning on participating in the Earth Day celebration on Saturday, April 19th in downtown Hollister. That is 11 to 2, and so we'll be out there as part of our Clean California campaign. And there'll be booths and games and art, and so we're really looking forward to being out there. And thank you for allowing me to put a plug in for the Earth Day event. And that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, let's move to public comment.
Yes. Marie Hoffman?
Hi. You've heard from me over and over again, so I'm not going into our land or anything about that. But what I wanted to tell you, I wanted to thank you, all of you, but Director Velasquez and the mayor, for just saying what you said, because we have been having meetings, and nobody has told us who's in charge of this, and you just did. So thank you for that, because we need to really understand who we're talking to and where the end of this will end up being. So anyway, I wanted to let you know that when you do get that list, when you do look at the final reports, when you do see everything, you evaluate it, I'm asking that you look at everything that's out there, maybe not just what Caltrans provides to you. The USDA, and I can leave this with you, has a report on soils in the state of California. Every piece of farmland is graded. This color block that you see right here is the swath of land between Hollister and the Pajaro River. Everything that you see in green is the spacing or the land between the town of Hollister on Route 25, the new route, and Hudner Lane. Everything that's green is rated 1A, which is the highest rating given to soil in the state of California. Very few pieces of land are rated 1A in the state of California. Our local USDA department provided me with this report. And he said that typically highways, federal highways, state highways, aren't paving over 1A land. So when I talk about prime ag land, this is what I'm talking about. And I would ask that you look at this report and evaluate it. I'm going to be sending it to COG. I'll email it to all of you probably later tonight, so you can take a look at it and really understand this from that standpoint. And then again, we're talking about financially. Thank you for coming out. Thank you to Roland for coming out. I encourage all of you to do that and try and really look at where the land is, because doing a map doesn't do it justice. You just don't understand where Grant Line Road is, and you don't understand where Hudner ends, and you don't understand necessarily, or people don't understand that this little piece of land is all we're gonna get for the highway, and then it's gonna stop and go down that 2 lanes again. And fiscally, it doesn't make much sense to spend as much money as is going to be spent to just get that little piece. I don't think it's really gonna help improve the commute that much. So thank you all for looking at everything that we've provided to you, and I think that's all I have to say. But thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Tanasha?
I just wanted to thank Ignacio for clarifying what COG's position is, because I think in all these meetings I've been going to, Caltrans is a good partner, no doubt about it. We need a highway. There's no doubt about it. They're a good partner. They're going to do what they're directed to do. And as a businessman, that's what I'd want my employees to do. But at some point, sometimes you got to make a different decision, or you got to look at everything all over again and modify it. And off the record, I've had plenty of people at these Caltrans meetings and them tell me, hey, there's nothing wrong with your COG requesting a stay of execution for us, as you can call it, or whatever you want to call it, and take a look at it. The cost is insignificant compared to the long-term cost. But I just want to say thank you, Ignacio, for speaking up and clarifying who's in charge. That's needs to be said once in a while. Good.
Mark?
I gotta say, I'm shocked that you said who's in charge. I can't believe I'm actually thankful of that. It's just amazing. The net effect of going from the north end of Hollister to the roundabout is not that big of a deal. I've been driving to Stanford University since 1990 on that road and on Fairview to Shore to Fraser Lake. I refuse to take Highway 25. Fraser Lake is about 5 minutes faster. It's a lot safer. The division's going up. Applaud that. There really is no net effect of taking that farmland out of use. That little distance from the roundabout to town takes no time. The time that's lost just from anecdotal experience of, I don't know, 40 years of driving, I turn my cars in when they get 600,000 miles, is the biggest complaint I have as a commuter is what you had when people switched over the lanes to pass. Getting people to speed up after they've stopped is the biggest problem in traffic flow. It's the accordion effect. You can look it up. People can slow down evenly, but they never speed up the same. And so I know it's already too late, but if you had a flyover and a loop on 25 onto 101, people wouldn't need to stop either way. It's too late for that. And then on public safety, sort of what you're talking about, when you come back from the Bay Area on a holiday to the weekend, Fraser Lake backs up almost all the way to Bloomfield or whatever it is. People drive on the left in the opposite opposing lane all the way to the stop sign, and it's extremely dangerous. And maybe you guys could just tell CHP or the sheriffs or whoever it is on those holiday days, because their office is not too far away. They're on 101. All they would have to do is just go out there. I've actually seen people get in that opposite lane that has a little sticker on their car that says, "We support the sheriff." And I'm like, read between the lines. It's on those holiday days that people do that because the backup is a lot more. And I fully support the farm and whatever you guys said that you're in charge. Can't believe it.
No other speakers.
Thank you. We're going to now move to item 11, Executive Director's Report.
Thank you, Chair. So let's start with the Highway 25 workshop, since that's the biggest conversation we are having. So on March 12th, we had the special board meeting to talk about Highway 25. And this was a really good opportunity for us to sit together and have Caltrans in the room, the landowners in the room, the board in the room, and CTC Commissioner Bob Tiffany in the room. And we had representatives from the city and the county staff, as well as Revis's office, just to ask questions and understand what we are doing. But I appreciate Mayor Stephen's comment of the spirit of the comment on we still don't understand the why. And without understanding the why, the question keeps coming back to us. Why are we doing it? Why didn't we look at it? Why cannot we revisit it? And I appreciate hearing that. So one of the things we are doing with Caltrans is pencils down. Let's just think through this. What can we do? What can we bring back to the board and have this discussion? So we are we are thinking through what can we bring in the next few months. As Chair mentioned, these are some of the items. There will be a few items that we are bringing back to the board on Highway 25 for more discussion. The purpose of it is to give the board whatever information you need, all the whys, so that you can make the decisions you need to do. So we will help and we'll work with, SBCOG staff will work with Caltrans to bring you the best information that you need to make a decision on this. But I want to thank all the board members and all the public and Caltrans. Amazing to come together and have that discussion. I know it was only 2 hours. It was not a lot of time, but we did cover a lot of questions. So the next thing is we had a mobility partnership meeting, same day, March 12th. And I'll let, because I know.
Go ahead.
We have a new chair. Chair Ignacio is going to be the chair of the mobility partnership as well. So this is the one place where we have multi-jurisdictional, multi-county members involved to talk about some things that go beyond the boundary line. So we have representation of the County of San Benito, County of Santa Clara, City of Hollister, City of Gilroy, and Morgan Hill, as well as District 4 and 5, and VTA and SBCOG. So the purpose of this mobility partnership is so that we can, when it comes to regional issues that cross boundaries, we have a platform to discuss that and understand what's happening, how things in Morgan Hill or Gilroy is going to impact us in Hollister, and how things we are doing in San Benito is going to impact Santa Clara. A perfect example is 10125 interchange. It might be in Santa Clara, but it's going to impact the people in San Benito County the most. The same with Highway 25. It crosses over to Santa Clara portion, and it's only a small portion, but we still have a lot of fatalities and incidents over there that we need to come as a group. And this cannot be done in the SBCOG forum because we only have District 5 and SBCOG here. We need to bring in District 4. So one of the things that Speaker's office is heading, as Kelly from Caltrans mentioned, is that he asked for a safety analysis. And this went to Caltrans headquarters. So headquarters is taking the lead on that. So they were able to bring together both District 4 and 5. And as we heard from Kelly, it's almost in the finishing stages. The idea is we don't want to wait a long time to make some kind of safety improvements there. We want to understand what can be done immediately. So this is going to be very short term. We don't know the report because it's still wrapping up, but once that is done, Caltrans will be sharing that information with us. And there will be an opportunity for everybody to come in and decide on what seems to be the best option in the shortest time frame we can implement. The next thing is there was a regional leadership forum that was conducted by CalCog, California Association of Council of Governments. This is similar to SBCOG. There are multiple COGs around California, and this is a platform for all the COGs to come together. We had a really good discussion. As you can imagine, a lot of this discussion was around VMG and how it is not working for different agencies and what can we do about it. So there is at least a collective understanding that we need to have some conversation around, no matter where you are in the state. So it was a good discussion. And then the other thing that we had was we have a rural county task force to talk about transportation problems. So especially all the rural counties that have similar problems that are different from some of the urbanized areas in California. So we have a monthly discussion, and this happened on March 14th for this month. And the last thing I want to touch on is yesterday, March 19th, we had the Central Coast Coalition Legislative Day. So Director Morris Lopez and I went to Sacramento to, along with the other 4 counties of Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, Monterey, and Santa Cruz, to meet and talk about common transportation issues that we have. The main one is the 101. So this highway, US 101 connects these 5 counties. And District 5, Caltrans District 5 is the common factor for all 5 of us. So that's the commonality of the transportation issues. Because US 101 is also an agricultural freight corridor, we want to make sure that, and most of the counties here are rural and small, we are not powerful enough to go on our own, but collectively we can make some cases so that, and I will let Director Lopez to talk about that one. So these are some of the updates I have. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from directors? Okay, we'll move then to item 12, Board of Directors, Director Lopez.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Director Abraham. Yes, we did go yesterday. It was my first time to go to a legislative meeting. We met with 4 other counties. It was very informative, very productive. We actually had an agenda. It was very organized by staff. I'm not sure, what was the gentleman, the staff?
He was from Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara, right. And so it was Santa Barbara County, San Luis Obispo or SLO, Monterey County, Santa Cruz County, and San Benito. So the intent of this meeting was to meet. We had, like I said, it was very scheduled. There was an agenda. We met with Senator Laird, who is now our senator. Very nice gentleman, very receptive, easy to talk to. He knows our county. And so what we were doing was we're basically telling them what our projects were. And this is about asking for funding. And as Executive Abraham said, you know, they focused a lot on Highway 101, but there was also chances for each of us to have talking points about our areas and what the need or the ask was. So I asked for, you know, we're not anywhere near, and it's evident by our discussion today and with Caltrans, we're not anywhere near breaking ground or even what Highway 25 is going to look like, or if that's going to be the final decision to go that route. And so I made it very clear that, you know, that is on the table, but we're still in the finding out phase. We're in the engagement phase with our important stakeholders, which is you all here in the room. And I also think the ag industry, the farmers, you know, because we're also working at the same time of really beefing up our general plan element of preserving agricultural land, prime land, and also saving that and acquiring more. And so, you know, with that being said, I said, we're not anywhere near that, but our immediate ask is how can we relieve the traffic on Highway 25, you know, less cars. And one of the asks was consider van pulling, consider buses. And with that, I'm saying, if we find people that are commuting and needing to go to the Caltrans station in Gilroy, perhaps we can have a stop here and van pull them or bus them there. And Executive Director Abrahams had a great idea. It's like, let's do a survey, you know, and a survey can be standing out in front of Safeway, Target, Lucky's, and just asking people maybe 5 simple questions. Do you commute out of the county for your job? Where do you work? So if we find out there's a huge population or a huge group of people that are commuting to Apple campus or Google or whatnot, and I've seen this happen because I worked in the Bay Area for a stint as a traveler, and these companies have luxury coaches. So if we find out there's people, you know, there's like 200 people working at Google or something, why not have a conversation with Google and say, hey, we've got some of your people down here that are, you know, really struggling and commuting. Can you send down a coach? You know, maybe the pickup point would be Gilroy. Maybe they could still, you know, or pick them up here. I don't know. So, you know, we're trying to think of ideas. And so that was my big push and the reason why I'm talking about that is because we have this thing called Senate Bill 743. And Benito can speak more in depth about that, but basically what it is vehicle miles traveled. And being a rural area, and all of these counties are rural, the combined population of all these 5 counties is around a little over 1 million is what I heard. And I was surprised because I thought it was more, but it's around 1 million or a little over 1 million. So we're small, so power in numbers, right? And so with the VMT, we all get penalized because we are rural. So people have to commute out of our counties to go to jobs, maybe major shopping, medical services. As we all know, that's a big issue in our community right now, with doctors' offices being limited and our hospital on the brink of closing. All of that, I don't have to tell you. So people are commuting out on Highway 25. So with the VMT, we are dinged a lot harder. And what does that mean? It means that equates with less funding for us, because the less miles travel you can apply and your application can go through for funding. And we need money to fix our roads. We need money to decide whether we're going to do Highway 25 in the alignment that it is or somewhere else. So I asked if they could please amend that. And we kind of got a little bit somewhere with that, right? So we got a call when we were traveling back, and it's not a guarantee it's going to happen anytime soon, but Ms. Abrams got a call, and they wanted to ask more about, or did say something about SB 743, potential that they're looking at in the near future amending that. So that was something that was positive. But it was, overall, it was a good experience. It's very complicated. The thing too is that's hanging over our head is that even though we have maybe some state funding, the federal level affects us as well. So, things are kind of questionable. But anyway, that's my report, and I look forward to working with you all. I appreciate the public that comes out. I appreciate Chair's comment today, because ultimately it is our decision. And that decision has to be in alignment with what is common sense, what is safe, what makes sense, and also input from our community members. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Stevens.
I don't have anything to report.
Okay, Director Kozmicki.
Yeah, I'll be real brief. Just held a meeting with Caltrans emergency personnel, county staff on the potential closure of the median on 101 at Rocks Road. I've been bringing this up for a while, the safety issue there with people cutting through. And so Caltrans has been very receptive, and they're moving forward on potentially closing the median with the exception of emergency personnel vehicles only having access through that median. More to come there. And then just as far as the overall issue here with 25, I can just say, none of us are farmers up here, including Roland Resendez, but this might be the most preservation of prime farmland agency board in the history of this county, maybe going back quite a while. So you're all in good hands. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I want to see that picture emailed so we have that in our files. I wish you guys had brought extra copies. It would have been great to see that. As was mentioned, I was elected as the chair of the Mobility Partnership. That is a partnership between VTA and our committee. When we first put that back together, in I think it was 15 or 16, many people were pointing out that they thought it was a waste of time. Because of that partnership, that new on-ramp or off-ramp is going to be built. And that came through by a lot of pushing from our side because of the safety concerns. And VTA finally agreed and wanted to work with us, and they want to work with us on future projects. So that is a good part. They're also going to be punching through Santa Teresa, which is another safety part, because it means students going to Galvin or going to work, or people going to work in Gilroy do not have to get on the freeway. They can just drive straight through on Highway 25. So these are big, big deals. And the best part of this is they're willing to work with us now. So VTA and District 4 Caltrans is willing to work as partners, and being chair is very helpful. I want to thank you guys for the support for who's responsible. Yeah, we are. And that might be why my haters hate me so much. But it's, we're here, all of us are here, not because we want to be full-time politicians, but we just want to make our community better. And damn right it's us that's responsible. So we have to listen. Mr. Kozmicki said it best. We're going to do everything we can to protect that farmland and make sure we're making the right choices. I want to work on the next meeting. We got to discuss this traffic impact fee increase so we can cover the true cost of some of these projects. I also want to see if we can put together that tour of Highway 25 with our farmer friends and see what we can see all the way around for all of us, all the way to the where the new interchange is going to happen through, so we're clear, and Caltrans can help us so we can understand the current alignment of Highway 25 and what needs to be done so we can get this thing going. And I do want to tell you guys, although it's our decision, do not think this is going to happen overnight. I've been fighting this Highway 25 fight for many years, but I've never had a board to work with as we have right now. I think we can make good progress, but it's still going to take a long time to get that done. Can we have, if Caltrans is still on, Caltrans, when you guys did the improvements along the Pinnacle National Park Highway in Hollister from Santa Ana through Hillcrest, the landscaping was done, but all the little flags were left in there. Is it possible to have somebody come by and start pulling those little flags out? I'd appreciate that. And the last thing I want to say is, with this group, our focus as we step through the next couple of months is going to be Highway 25. We are going to be focused intently on 25, and we're going to figure out what that commitment is in the next 3 to 4 months, so we know where we're going to go with this, and then we can start the process of how we start environmental and so on, and start moving through it all. All right? And that's all I have. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. And now we're going to move to the LTA. All right. This time we're going to call to order the Local Transportation Authority meeting on March 20th, 2025. Is there verification of certificate of posting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We're going to now move to closed session. Was
Chair,
there-
can I?
Yes, there's an item you wanted to pull.
Yes, there is an item I would like to pull, which is number 7, under action item. Staff will be bringing this action item for a later date.
I'm sorry, we'll go to get this. Okay, you want to pull number 7 for a later date?
Yes.
All right. Do we have any speaker cards for the consent?
Yes, I just received for Ray Cancino.
I don't think he heard you.
Ray Cancino? Yes.
Okay, so you, okay, no
Still have the
problem.
right- He still has the right to speak.
You can still make a comment if you like to, sir.
Yeah, great. Good evening, Chair Velasquez and the members of the Council of Governments and Board for San Benito County. My name is Ray Cancino. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Community Bridges, who also does business as Liftline. We're a large multi-service agency that serves both Santa Cruz, San Benito, and Monterey County, $32 million organization, providing various social services, including a paratransit company. I'm here regarding the recent request for proposals, number 2025-01, for specialized transportation in San Benito County. Community Bridges has been a trusted provider of specialized transportation services since 1977, with a proven track record of high-quality, equitable, community-focused transit solutions. Our workforce is unionized, providing stable jobs to local employees who are deeply invested in the communities they serve. Additionally, our experience in delivering active transportation services within the region uniquely positions us to provide the most effective and reliable services to local seniors and people with disabilities. However, despite our long-standing engagement and expansion efforts into San Benito County, we were not made aware of the RFP until after the submission deadline. This lack of notification has denied us a fair and equitable opportunity to compete. Furthermore, we have concerns regarding the compliance of the RFP timelines with federal procurement regulations. As outlined in OMB Section 5.203, a minimum of 30-day notice must be presented and a 45-day response time as required. The RFP in question was issued on January 17, 2025, with a deadline of February 14, failing to meet these necessary standards. We respectfully request that the board take immediate action to consider reopening the bid process to allow for full compliance with federal regulations and requirements and ensure all qualified providers have an opportunity to compete fairly. This would not only align with the best procurement practices, but would also allow San Benito County to secure the highest quality service provider for its residents. Our goal is to ensure an equitable ability to compete and to provide the best possible transportation service to local seniors and individuals with disabilities. We urge the board to take the action in the best interest of its community by reconsidering the RFP process and allowing for us to officially submit a full proposal. Thank you for your time and your consideration. We look forward to continuing to serve San Benito County. And as of today, we've already provided 97 medical transportation rides. We're a provider with the Alliance, which is your managed care plan in San Benito County. And we also operate the Child and Adult Care Food Program in this community. So there's an ongoing interest for us, especially since San Benito does not have an adult day healthcare center. We're also the closest adult day healthcare center for San Benito County. We've recently relocated our location from Santa Cruz to Watsonville and have already started providing rides to the outskirts of San Benito County and are hoping to include further Hollister and San Benito and San Juan Bautista as well.
Thank you very much.
Here's my card as well for contact.
Did we have any other speakers?
No, no other speakers.
Okay, this time we're going to move back to a closed session item so we can have that discussion, then we can come back for item 7. Okay, we're going to resume the meeting if we're ready to go.
Yes.
And we're going to move now to item 7.
Was council gonna report out?
Item 7 was pulled.
Oh, I'm sorry.
6.
Sorry, I'll pull.
Sorry, I'll
I'll report out.
Oh, report out.
I think we're done.
Sorry, there's no reportable action from closed session.
Yeah. End agenda.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And that is it. There's no other
We're good?
committee meetings. Thank you.
All right.
We're the LTA, right?
Yeah. Open
Item
session for
6.
consent. Yeah, we did it.
Item 6.
Item 6.
Consent.
I thought we did the consent.
We did consent, didn't we?
We approved that.
I'll do it again.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Just make sure.
we did do it. We just took out number 7, but we'll do it again. Just because we roll that way. All right, is there any speaker cards for the consent?
No speaker cards.
Okay, is there any questions from the directors?
No.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve as recommended.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. That covers it all.
All right.
Okay.
Now we're in the.
Agenda. Okay.
All right, guys, thank you all.
So this folder, you want to leave this here and then you add to it? Is that what you do?
Should we take?
You guys like it so much, you can't leave.
Bye.
I left. I left my